This Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back to switch things up in Disney's Freakier Friday.
Totally, yes.
It's an absolute riot, and the only movie that can be described as
So much weirder than the last time. What last time?
it's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
What deeply out of touch old person came up with that?
You did.
Wow.
Don't miss the comedy event of the summer for all ages. Disney's Freakier Friday in theaters this Friday. Get tickets now. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
It's Wednesday Addams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday, Season 2, begins August 6th, only on Netflix.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
Cavalry Audio.
Three, two, one. Welcome back, Murder Chronicles Nation. Thank you for joining us today. As always, I am Brandon Morgan. I produce the Murder Chronicles with the great Carolyn Osorio, who we're lucky enough to have joining us again today. Hello, Carolyn.
You're always so nice when we start. What happens?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, you're Mr. Innocent. Hey,
I'm
I'll
always
take it.
I'm always
Thank
this.
you.
My behavior towards you is consistent. I'm always nice and never breaking your balls.
Okay.
And
All
if
right.
you believe that one, I got a
literally
bridge to sell you.
10 seconds in.
How was your week?
It was great. It was a really good week. How about you?
Good, yeah, good. Kids are good. Wife's doing well. Weather's been very, very nice here in Los Angeles. It was 75 degrees, and in Jersey, where my mom still lives, they had that Arctic blast. It was -6. Yeah.
You know, we've had some really cold weather this winter, and like it was like 20 degrees, which is super cold for us. Like we're walking around just like,
Wow.
what's happening? What's happening?
Does it get below freezing much up there? I didn't think it did.
No, it does. So when it snows, but it doesn't get that cold. Like we were literally, it's just like a different feeling. You know,
Yeah.
the air feels different.
Oh, yeah.
And our heater actually went out
Oof.
during Christmas time, and it was such a nightmare.
Yep.
So anyway,
Well, I remember cold days growing up back east, like waiting for the bus when I'm in junior high, when any exposed skin it hurts. It's physically painful because of how cold it was. You know, I remember all
I don't
that.
know how. When I take my son to school, he's in 9th grade, and I drop him off, and like none of these kids wear coats. Like it's just not a cool thing anymore. I guess they don't use lockers. So like they're literally like wearing sweatshirts and it's freaking freezing out. Like
Why don't they use lockers? Why don't they use lockers? Like it's not cool to use your locker? Is that what the thing is nowadays?
I think that it was so traumatic for people who couldn't figure out the lock. And I don't know what it is, but they have, like, my middle schooler has it, you know.
Too traumatic to figure out a combination lock? That's the problem with I'm worried for the future, Carolyn. I'm worried.
I'm just going with it. I don't.
I'm not going with it. I would not go with it.
Well, then you were obviously one of the ones that had your locker and were all like bragging, like got it on the first try.
It's 3 numbers and a little manual dexterity. That's all it is.
No, but you have to go past the one, and they don't, for whatever reason. I can't excuse it. I was a locker whiz, so I'm just like, okay, you know, I don't get it either. Because, you know, that was a part of the whole thing. You know, you go and you like set your get it next to your friend and then you like bling it out with your personality. What are you giving me the stink eye for?
I can't believe it's like, oh, I'm just not going to use it because I can't figure out how to open a combination lock.
I'm not saying that's what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's the reason. All I know is that they stopped making kids use them. So my son, who's in middle school, he's in 6th grade, and he has a locker and he can choose to use it or he doesn't use it. So yeah.
I think that's a symptom of okay. Offhand, how many of your friends and extended circle of friends' phone numbers did you have memorized when you were in junior high?
Well, all of them.
All of them.
All of them.
My daughter doesn't know her own phone number. Okay.
Well, I think it's because, I mean, to be fair, like I don't know all of my kids' numbers because they come up on the phone. So we're lazy. Like, why should, but
that's what I'm saying. We're using our brains differently. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally, you can't even compare it though. I mean, we had to remember all those things and we were dialing them like constantly in like the long phone cord.
Did you ever do an emergency breakthrough when like your best friend's number was busy for a long time?
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. People are gonna be like, "What are you people talking about?" Right.
So there used to the younger audience, there used to be a thing called a busy signal, right? Mm-hmm. Where if you called somebody and they were on the phone, they would not answering. And if you had something like important, okay.
And this was before call waiting, because remember, call waiting was a big thing.
Yeah. No, call waiting was great, and you needed to talk to somebody because some shit was going down. You call the operator. Yes, I need to make an emergency breakthrough on this number. And they would go, beep. Yes, hello, this is the operator. You have an emergency breakthrough from Branden. Will you accept? Yeah, it's crazy. And
that's funny. Did you actually use, because you're only supposed to use it for emergencies. Were you the
who knows what an emergency is? Who knows? The operator doesn't judge your emergency.
I'm saying you used it. You would totally be the type of person where it's like, I'm using it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not like just willy-nilly, like what's the score of the baseball game? No, but if it was like, if I thought somebody was like talking shit or somebody was going to like give some information that was incorrect, that would like disparage my reputation, fuck yeah, I would break through. I got to get to them first. Yeah.
That's an emergency. If someone's going to disparage my
reputation. When you're 13, that's an emergency. Yes.
So funny. Oh my gosh. Insight into you at 13.
Absolutely.
Look out. Yeah. I am like breaking through. Operator.
Yeah. What if they're talking to someone I don't want them talking to? Are you talking to that girl? No. What are you saying about me? Sure. Yeah, it was, oh man, just the hormonal like upheaval just going on. You don't know what is up, and oh my gosh, it was fucking crazy times.
I know, right?
And now it's weird. I was talking to my daughter last night. When I was, I don't know, 7th grade, 8th grade, my first girlfriend, which was basically like the first girl like I held hands with in the hall. Her dad was early like in tech at like IBM, right? And one night we were talking on the phone, as you know, middle school kids did back then, for hours. There was nothing else to fucking do. And she's like, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we don't have a phone-o-vision because I wouldn't want you to see how I look right now." And I went, "What are you talking about? What's a phone-o-vision?" She goes, "Well, it's this tech. My dad said it's this technology that's going to be coming where it's like you can see the person you're talking to as you're talking to them." Like I remember that so clearly.
What a humble brag,
right? No, I just right, but she didn't know what she was talking about either.
I know, but she was seriously humble bragging on that one.
Yeah, I guess. Thank God I don't have a phone-o-vision. Like it even existed then, and that there was a name for it, and I remember that.
And what did you say? Well, hey, you want me to come over?
Do you like me? That's all. That was the extent of my game. So do you like me? You know, that was it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is too funny.
And now that's all my kids do. It's like there's no regular hold the phone to your ear talking anymore. It's all FaceTime on speaker. Like I have to hear all of that shit. I don't want to hear it. I'm like, get the headphones or put the phone to your face. like normal. Why do you got to look at everybody the whole time? It's strange. It's evolving. It's evolving technology. But anyway, I don't know how we got there, but hey, here we are. So let's talk about this. This was interesting. I hearing people talk about it before the age. Unfortunately, one of the detectives touched on this. There was a time where this was the biggest mass murder in the United States. Okay. Unfortunately, this would probably get a 2 or 3 day news cycle today. I know. Yeah. And back then, it was
generally, my rule of thumb is I don't ever cover mass shootings. I mean, from the beginning, when I started doing true crime podcast, that was kind of like, I'm not, because, they're actively looking for attention and looking for their names to be spread and the lore to be spread. And I just don't want to be any kind of part of that.
Well, there's an obvious difference between someone who goes into a movie theater and shoots up the place. And this case, this was a targeted place with a definite kind of motive behind it, which was robbery and not just murder because I'm an asshole, right? Or so it's different. Yes, this was technically a mass shooting, but it wasn't what we know it today to be.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I learned a lot on this one, which I love about this. I don't know why, but I never equated Seattle with having a thriving Chinatown.
Port City.
Yeah, and 100% Port City, and I guess why wouldn't they? LA's got a huge Chinatown, New York, obviously San Francisco, right? So so that was interesting to hear. And then and that there was almost there was a policy of tolerance for gambling by the city, that almost like it wasn't hush hush. It was like, yes, we're allowing it. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is. Like, because I want to talk to you about it a little bit, and it's a little bit of a dangerous area because it seems that there are hints of when I say racism, I don't mean that in the negative. I just mean, like, why was it only allowed in the Chinese section of the city?
I don't think it was. I think it was Detective Melton said, there were other kind of mom and pop like taverns that were doing some kind of gambling stuff. And I think that it was just like what he said was, you can't totally eradicate it. You can't, it's like whack-a-mole. But I do think that I had heard, and I have no idea if this was actually, it is not, it could have happened. I don't know. But like, there were police that could have been taking, bribes or something.
Sure.
Of course, the two detectives that I talked to were very clear in that, hey, that didn't happen. But there are rumors that it did. So I think that it's an interesting part of the story where it's like, why was all this happening? But they literally had their steel doors up to sure that nobody was getting inside. And they probably knew, like, we're not getting inside.
So it was established as a speakeasy during Prohibition, but still catering to the Asian population, right? It was like a Chinese speakeasy.
I think it was like all people came.
Right. You said that all were welcome, but
it was a destination. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that when it was like the May Club and it was the and it was high rollers and it was, it was a different kind of thing than when people are like, hey, let's go to the Chinatown International District and, dance the night away. And
right. And it would be like exotic, and it would be like, different, and, new people probably in a different culture. Cause, with these really robust communities in these big cities, it's like West Hollywood here in LA, like a big part of it east of Fairfax is very, very Russian. Like it's like you're in Little Odessa almost, all the street signs are in Russian. All the people are Russian. It's like caviar stores and shit everywhere. It's weird. Right. because you feel like you're in a different country within Los Angeles. And so that's like, I was in San Francisco a couple months ago, and walking into the Chinatown section of the city was amazing. It was so live and so cool and very, very different, completely different vibe. The moment, like block to block, the whole world changes, and so it
and that's very much how it is in Seattle. I mean, it's amazing.
Right.
It's a great place to go have fun and to shop and to, just be.
Right, but it just seems like this building from its inception operated to an extent outside of regular laws, either as a speakeasy with illegal booze, going forward 100 years where, gambling was tolerated almost at a legislative level in the city.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this building, I think there was a lot of illegal gambling going on in the area.
Okay.
And I think that this place, though, especially when it got to the 80s, was known for its high stakes, for its high pots. And it was very, very, very low key, very, very flying under the radar. They didn't cause problems. They didn't, the police weren't going there. They knew their business. It was very humble, I guess you would say. It wasn't like this movie version of like Casino Royale where you're just like going in there and, tux and, elegant dresses and things like that. By that time, it was very much, this is a gambling place. So you got to be in the know to get in there, and not just anyone is getting in there.
Yeah, and I know what the detective was talking about. Where I grew up, there was this pool hall that I spent most of my time in high school, and there were these, there were all the pool tables, and then there's a little corral with some video games and pinball, and then in the side, like kind of back in the corner, there were these two, video games, right, where
air quotes, everybody.
Right. Oh yeah, I was doing air quotes. Excuse me. Where you would play, and I never did. Right, I was a kid. I didn't have a lot of money, but a lot of the older kind of.
What were you even doing in there? Are you like
looking for action? Just looking for action.
But are you like 17? How are they? Do you have fake ID?
15. Yeah, young. Just just no supervision, nowhere to go. Right, and go there and learn the hustle. I was
Gen
never
X,
good enough.
baby.
I was never a great player. No matter how much I practiced, I just didn't have the natural talent to be a great pool player. But I could understand the gambling and where the good money was, and would watch the hustles happening. And then, and I would do runs for people and, do some illegal shit, but nothing crazy, but they trusted me. But there were these two machines there where these guys were pumping in like 20s and 50s and $100 bills. And they would, and then tickets would come out. Like you're at like a skee ball fucking place, right? At the shore, right? And we get these tickets. I'm like, what's that? And he goes, oh, it's tickets. You can whatever. But then the owner would honor those, right? Like if you won, it was a lot of payouts for these tickets, but most of the time you lost and he got the money from the machine. So it was basically an extra step towards like a slot machine, basically.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Your burger is served, and this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
In Washington, there's Seattle, which is Seattle Police Department is separate from King County. And King County has like all these communities outside of, it's inside Seattle, but it's also the surrounding areas. So I think that, he was saying in King County, we had an open policy. And I think that that was through have these little taverns and bars. And these people are just trying to, not these people, but restaurant owners, it's a way for them to help pay for the rent. And so I think that, again, it goes back to this thing where it's like,
sorry, I don't know if it's a way for them to help pay the rent. No, it's gambling, right?
You're right, but how they viewed it, it's like,
right.
If you're speeding a little bit over, are you really going to get a ticket unless it's like some, cop that wants to pull you over for some reason? You know, like I think that you really can't control, just like prostitution. It's like, how do you control it? And what happens what does that look like when you try? It just, again, goes into a different form.
Look at the war on drugs that we've been losing for 30 years.
Exactly. I think that they viewed it like that, where it's like, hey, if it was an opportunity for them to bust people they wanted to, they would. But if it was, just kind of look away and, that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, it's a good point. And to that point, because these basically illegal slot machines at my pool room growing up, there were maybe like a dozen or so of these pool rooms between like Boston and like Philly, right? That where we'd kind of float in between on weekends and stuff. And they all had them. They all had like some form of them. And then when I was living in Hollywood, there was this Chinese owned like donut and flower shop. Like in one, like that's what they sold. Flowers and donuts. Okay.
Sounds like a good place.
It was great. They had awesome donuts, and it was a couple blocks away, and that's where I'd get donuts in the morning. But then inside of the place, they had this little floral like wall corner, where you couldn't really see what was going on. And back there, they had two of those little slot machines, like right on Sunset Boulevard, like right in the middle of Hollywood. You could go in there and you could gamble. Yeah.
And if you think about it, back in this time when there was no place to gamble, it's totally different now.
You had to get to Vegas or you had to get to Atlantic City. That was it.
Or Reno.
Right.
So I mean, all of these things were necessary for people who wanted to gamble, and it people who like to gamble, it's like you said, it's a lifestyle. It's not just to gamble. It's after work. I mean, when I saw those pictures of the crime scene, it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's like anybody could have been there. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think you waited tables too, but like afterwards, you're off your shift. It's like 11 o'clock, then you're going into the bar with your friends and, you're having a couple of drinks to unwind. And it's like, you get some appetizers and you're just like doing it, right? You're doing your thing. And that's exactly what this was, except for, of course, the gambling and, these high stakes people who would come in and just be like, wow, that's a lot of money.
So this whole terrible mass fucking killing was to pay off because the guy didn't want to pay off a gambling debt.
I think that is what it was, but I think these guys were ramping up and they just were getting more and more cocky. And
there's Willie Mock, the fucking trigger man. This guy was, he was fucking crazy.
I mean, the bean sprout ladies, Jesus. Talk about like so brutal when you know the culture and you take advantage of it.
I wrote that down. It's like abusing cultural norms. Is he a race traitor? Right? Like, is he a traitor to his race right? And then I'm thinking, all right, what does he give a shit about being a race traitor if he's cool with being a mass murderer? So that's not something that's probably on his mind. But to abuse the cultural norms that you're aware of and that you're a part of to your advantage, that's just an additional layer of his douchebaggery,
I mean, here's where I'll just push back this tiny little bit. It's not even a pushback, but it's like to that point is that they knew what they were doing, because why would they put the towel over the one woman's face that was there?
Exactly. There you
go. That shame of like, okay, we're the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
And even we feel like we can't do this. So I feel like absolutely using the hardworking people that come over here and work their asses off and work these terribly, horribly long hours and just want to save and just, be with their family and make a better life for and build a business. And these fuckers come and then use it against them and like actively, like, we know, I mean, it's like, we know how successful he is. Let's go rob him. I mean, we know the numbers were,
Yeah. And here's something that I found interesting, because I think you're painting a picture, and might just be my interpretation. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong, but you're painting a picture that I think is a little less than accurate. That I don't think it's just people like you and I were waiting tables and we want to go somewhere and unwind. Because what I heard over and over again in the episode was that these were owners of restaurants, like restaurant owners. Okay. And that is a different class of people. There's labor and there's management and there's ownership, right? And if these were owners of restaurants, and that's something that I've found remarkable in the Chinese community, the Chinese immigrant community in particular, is the ability to work, to save, to own. Like ownership is so important in that community, and the idea of hereditary kind of ownership and legacy and passing things on to their children. So. And the children's responsibility to not rest on their laurels, but to build on the empire. Like each generation's like responsibility is to go a step or two farther than the previous, right? And those, like as much as gambling and as much as these other kind of vices, those virtues are kind of built into the culture, as well as things like, you don't hurt women and you don't, you put the towel over the face, all that kind of stuff. But so these were business owners. These were people that had some money.
Right. But here's the thing is that everything that I had heard was that it was people from all throughout the community that were welcome there.
Yeah.
The one connect was the gambling, and that can be seen by Willie Mock and Benjamin Eng had been there the night before. So like they're like young men, like 22 years old. So they were let in. And then the detective said, hey, Benjamin Eng's father was there that night. And I always wanted to ask him, why would you kill these people when it could have been your own father have this generational thing? And so then it's like, I think that there were all of those. This was a unique situation where you did have these super successful restaurant business owners who were super humble people. There's people who can be super successful and they don't wear it on their sleeves. Like you would never know.
Right.
And I think that was the culture of like, hey, we're not rolling up in a limo. It's illegal gambling. We're going to just like, hey, we're going to our place. And so it was a place, if you wanted to be a high roller, you could.
Do you gamble?
I do. I always know that
Really?
I'm going to lose. Yeah, I like Pai Gow. I like craps.
Are you kidding me?
No. Why are you so surprised?
You just seem so white bread conservative,
Oh my
like
gosh.
you do.
I don't like lay it all out like you.
No, I don't gamble either. I find gambling ridiculous, but
right.
No, I'm serious.
My husband is really, really good at poker. He's great. And
Poker's different.
When we gamble, I always know that I'm going to lose, but I have fun.
Right. And poker's different because it's not the house. You're not betting against the house. You're betting against other people at the table. That's different. That's actually a skill. But all these other games like you're talking about, Pai Gow or Pan 9 or craps or blackjack, any of that stuff, but just light your money on fire.
I think I can see it. Like for me, it's not, I don't love it that much. Like when I'm playing craps, and it's been forever since I've played craps, but it's so exciting. And you kind of think, oh my God, how do they do it? And I always, of course, love doing the thing that's like, okay, I'm going to put it on the cum, or I'm going to do it, whatever. And it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I do great. And it's just that exciting. And then when you're with people and you have the dice and they're all looking at you and you get the 11 or you get whatever it is, right? And then all of a sudden you're the hero. So there's like that excitement of being a part of it. But at the end of the day, I don't know what I'm doing. And so it's just kind of like, it's a night out. And, I think that I don't take it seriously. So it's okay.
When I was younger, when I was 18 or 19, and me and my maniac friends would go to Vegas, driving to Vegas from LA, right? And we'd go there and I'd lose $600. Okay. But that put my accounts to zero. Okay. So when it's all the money that you have, it's all the money that you have. And I'd leave there going, what the fuck is wrong with what? I have nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I just stopped. I stopped. All right. And then it wasn't for years later that a buddy of mine was producing a movie that was in Vegas, and it coincided with when Prince was doing a residency at this hotel. And my wife's a huge Prince fan, and we go back. And as someone with a few more years under his belt and a little more experience, I had the best time. I have the best times in Vegas now. It's such an amazing city when you're not gambling. Just the nightlife, the restaurants, the museums. It's like growing up Disneyland. And I know I'm not going to gamble when I get there, so I know I'm not going to have that shitty feeling of just stupidity. Like, why did I just throw my money away? And I love it now. I fucking love it.
I think that for me, it's like, okay, one of the first things that my husband and I did, like when was to go to, I think it was Reno or Vegas. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
And like, we went there and we were like, staying in the hotel for the first time, like that whole thing. And then we were flush, which was like, we were broke. So we probably had like $200 or something.
Yeah.
And then we were all high on the hog with it all. And then like the second day we were broke. We had nothing, right? We were both probably like, I was 21, he was probably 23. And so there was $10 that we had left in the hotel room. Right. Yeah. And so we come back and the $10 is gone, and we needed to get to the airport. We needed to take a shuttle or whatever. And we looked at the house cleaner had come through, and we were clocking her. Like, it was so pathetic. And it was like the $10 had been underneath. My husband was like, and I'm like, we're trying to like, we needed the $10. And I know. And it just, even that much, that desperation.
Yeah.
Like, would make me never want to gamble again. Just that feeling of like, you're just not going to win. The house is always going to win.
Always. Mid-90s. I'm dating a girl from Louisiana. Okay. Living in LA, go home to visit her and her folks. And this was just the very beginning of riverboat gambling being legal. Like if you're at sea. Okay. If you're not on land. Okay.
I got it.
Right.
I've seen the Ozarks. Okay.
Right. Okay. But this was way back when just being at the dock wasn't enough. The boat actually had to go out into the water. Okay. And it would go out for 4 hours. You get on the boat. You're not getting out of there for 4 hours. All right. They've got you.
Yeah. Your captive audience.
So we get on the boat. Right. And I sit down at the craps. At roulette. Talk about just burning your fucking money alive.
I've never even played roulette. I don't have any desire.
And for I have no idea why, but I'm hitting. I'm making so much money, right? And I have I'm getting nervous, the money that I'm making, right? Like I think I'm doing something illegal.
Yeah.
So after like 4 hours, I'm up like $5,000. It's insane. It's the most money I've ever had in my life. I feel like I'm the king of the world. Can't wait to go back the next night. I'm thinking about all the money I'm going to make. I'm going to triple this.
I already know what the story is. I already know what's going to happen.
Get on the boat. The boat leaves the dock. Within 15 minutes, I'm dead broke. Can't do anything for the next 4 fucking hours. I got to stay on this boat and just wallow in it. Just sit there like, oh, it was the worst. I wanted to jump off and swim ashore. It was so bad.
And that's gambling in a nutshell. It's like, I just can't handle that up and down kind of thing. It's like, so I go and I don't have any expectation.
Good. It's ridiculous. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. So I want to get back to something in the episode that really stuck out to me. Because I think it's illegal because it came from the cop's mouth. So maybe I watched too much TV when I was younger, but I think this has some legal precedent or some actual legal kind of gumption to it. Was a dying declaration.
Yeah, wasn't that? Yeah.
Right. When he's talking to Win Chen, is that was his name?
Wai Chin.
He got shot in both sides of his fucking face and his jaw was like mangled. And he was in, I think he said 5 times, very, 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 very critical condition. And so he said, we got to talk to you in case you die. We have to know what happened. And we'll consider this your dying declaration. And so what I would have asked him was, does that actually hold up in court?
Yes.
If it's not corroborated by anybody else.
Well, they had a tape recorder.
No. What I'm saying is, regardless of the veracity of his dying declaration, absent anyone else corroborating what he said, would it be considered like, will the court say we consider this to be truthful? Because normally, like if I say I saw somebody do this, they would say, all right, can anyone else corroborate your yes, this person and this person? And then it lends a little more weight to my recollection. But if it's a dying declaration, could it be considered evidence before a jury?
Yes, it can, but they have to say this is your dying declaration. And they have to, what?
No, that freaks me out.
I know, it freaks me out too. And we talked a lot about it because I was like, that would be so awful to have to go to, and I said, did you have to go to him and say this is, and he's like, yes. And so there's certain ways that if they do die, they can use it in court, and it has to be very legal. To your point, I don't know exactly what the steps are, but it is called the dying declaration. And there are steps that need to be taken. But again, a court could throw it out because of what you just brought up. I mean, who knows? And he was the only witness to survive. So that's so compelling. Right.
See, I guess my point is maybe a little foolish now that I'm thinking about it, but in the eyes of the court, if a person knows that they're about to die, does that instantly make them honest? Like, is what they're saying honest because they're afraid that they don't want the last words they speak to be a lie?
I mean, I think it comes down to how talented the defense attorneys are and all that stuff, because you could have someone give a dying declaration and it'd be total shit. So, I mean, because they're dying doesn't mean that it's,
truthful.
So
right. Say you're a dick, and your dying declaration is to get back at an enemy. Right?
Exactly. And we know, especially with all the cases we've covered, that there's probably people, psychopaths who totally do that. Like, even from the grave, I'm going to just mess with people.
Right. And if I'm bleeding out, my last thoughts aren't going to be about, this. It would be probably like get a message to my kids or something. You know what I mean?
I do. And that's where it's like, it's the other two detectives. What I didn't include in there, so Detective Sanford goes up to him and he's the sergeant. He's like, okay, which one of you wants to go and do the dying declaration, basically? And they're like, both of them are like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And they didn't want to do it because they didn't want to be the reason why he died. They're like, he needs emergency treatment. And so obviously, the detective sergeant was like, well, I need to get this. This is a heinous crime. I need to get this statement. And so he went in there and did. But I mean, those are the kind of choices, it's like, I'm glad I don't have to make those,
More Murder Chronicles after the break.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Hey, I'm Bruce. And I'm Jeff. We're here to tell you a little about our new podcast called Taboo Treasures. In Taboo Treasures, we explore the human obsession with objects of extreme rarity and infamy.
Yeah, we're going to get into Barbie, Hitler, one-of-a-kind soccer ball.
And, of course, drugs, guns, murders.
And cults. We hope you'll join us and learn a little and maybe even laugh a little while we tell you some of the stories behind the stories you only think you know.
So let's talk a little bit more about this Willie Mock fucking psychopath. So, it makes me scared to go out and go for a jog right now because I might see a guy doing some bad shit and I wind up, getting two in the head.
I mean, that guy was no joke.
Yeah.
I mean, he's watching this happening and I'm sure he never thought, this guy is going to come and shoot me.
Of course not.
I know.
Or at the very least now, if I see someone dumping a safe, I run the other way as fast as I can.
Yeah.
Right? Because nothing good's happening.
The neighborhood that they were in was very affluent neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, he was probably like, what's this? He's not thinking, these guys are killers. And I don't know what he's thinking, but I kind of feel like he probably didn't feel like he was in danger and was like, what? You don't see this every day. It's a curiosity. This isn't normal.
So let me ask you a sensitive question, maybe a little sensitive here. Talking to these detectives, who you can tell by their voice, they're older gentlemen, right? Who were on the beat for a long time, right? So we're talking 1980s, Seattle. Were you not coming directly from the detectives, but did they mention any kind of anti-Asian or racial kind of tensions going on at the time? Did people, like, how was the Chinese community viewed in Seattle at the time? Was there any overtures if they were considered second-class citizens, or either, because it sounded like the police worked their fucking asses off as if they would as they would with any crime. So it doesn't seem like it was anything coming from the police force. The press seemed to cover it very fairly, as they would with anything. So it seemed like even back then in the 80s, that Seattle was cool racially.
I can't speak to all the things that you just said, but based on my conversations with them, they both seemed very like the communities really came together. Not only, the Chinese community, because they wanted these people caught, and you heard that interview where he was like, I was worried that this guy was going to break his kid's leg if he didn't tell the truth, because they wanted to know the truth. But they also got ahead of the fact that they knew that, they didn't really police in Chinatown that much. According to them, they just kept to themselves, and there just wasn't a lot of crime, at least that they were reporting. And that was part of the problem, because Willie Mock and Benjamin Eng were doing all this stuff, and these kids that they ran around with were afraid of him, and they didn't tell anybody because they were afraid of repercussions. So I feel like in this particular case, the police did a really good job of getting translators to go and talk to the people, giving information to share with them of what they were doing, bringing people. They all met together, the task force, and just basically was like, hey, we don't care. We just want to talk and get the interviews that we need to solve this for any other cases. And, if your kid did this or was doing drugs or whatever, we don't care. We want answers related to this case. And, they seemed very much like they wanted to solve it, and they did.
So how about the opposite then? Because that's where I think is a more interesting question. How did the Chinese community feel about the government of the United States as a whole, local, state, and federal? And federal, state, and local level down to the police force? Because in the episode, you hear a lot of kind of mistrust, like they don't use the banks, because of what they were fleeing or what they grew up with in kind of communist China. And to what I was speaking about earlier with the Russian community in West Hollywood, very, very similar, very similar. They don't vote. They don't use the banks, really. They never call the cops if something's wrong, because look what they were fleeing. They were fleeing fucking Russia, right, in the 70s and 80s.
And I would say, based on my conversations with them, that it was exactly the same thing. They just didn't do a lot of policing, and there was the language barrier, and they just kind of kept to themselves. And I feel like they had to. I think as a result of this case, they really were like, "Hey, we need to do more in this area. We need to be a larger presence." Like community policing, and develop and build that trust, which they needed to earn, you know?
So the lunacy of this Willie Mock character, I think, answers the next question about like the fucking Pope van that they built for this witness, right? To be driven around safely in, right? Like bulletproof for years and shit. And this guy, the balls on this guy, he's not just stick around, right? When he thinks that the maniacs are going to come try and kill him. Ooh.
Yeah.
And he testified in open court, right? He testified.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And they had a vested interest in killing him even after the trials, because then when they were retrying, they just have to get rid of this guy. If they got rid of it, then there would be no witnesses, and they could say, hey, they were trying to blame it on the Tongs. So
and you know how you can sometimes when someone's talking and like on the phone and you can't see them, but you can kind of hear when they smile, right?
Yeah.
The detective talking about this witness. And when he said, he goes, he was a great guy. He was a great guy. Like I can hear him smile talking about him and reminiscing. And it made me sad a little bit that I guess he's not alive anymore. He said he was a great guy. Huh.
No, he's not alive anymore. And I mean, he had some major, I don't think he ever fully recovered from his injuries. I mean, as significant as they were. And one detail that I did leave out because they didn't talk about it, but I read it somewhere else, is that White said to Tony Ng, the one who didn't get charged for murder, he was hog-tying them. And he's like, hey, I'm an old man, loosen the straps. And he did. And that's part of how he was able to get out, because he basically wasn't as hog-tied as the others. And
go ahead. Sorry. Cause that's what I was going to try and just talk you through and talk myself through and the audience through. Cause I almost want to recreate it at home. Like my brother would help me, like hog tie me. Okay. Put me far away from 2 sets of steel double doors that I have to open with the lower half of my face gone and bleeding out.
Oh,
right. Like about to pass out the whole time. How do you
open
the
ropes that they said were the hangman's news?
Right. How do you open a door with hogtied, hands behind your back, and your feet are basically in your hands?
That position is so vulnerable, just, in a yoga studio. I can't even imagine, because I was putting that in my head of what would that feel like? And then to be hogtied like that and to be on your stomach and not be able to move and to have your arms and legs up like that around, pulled back.
Right. So I was going to say, how did he operate whatever locking mechanism was keeping the doors closed? He couldn't use his mouth. We know that because it was shot off.
Get right. So apparently there was
banging his head on it.
The fire door, you know how it has that inside kind of the push thing. So he was able to on one of that, but he's and then he had loosened it up more because he said to Tony Ng, hey, I'm an old man, please, And so I think between that and then just the will to live, obviously this guy had a will to live and he did, so he ends up getting out,
Well, my goodness, this guy, good for him, because he brought the whole thing down, right?
He did. Because that they would have, that could have been reasonable doubt. If they didn't have a witness, they could have blamed it on some other gang. They could have, I was there. I gambled the night before. That's why my fingerprints are there.
Did you sense a little bit of guilt in any of the police officers who were saying that they had active warrants on these 2 guys and didn't get them in time?
I mean, obviously I included that cut in there. So I know that they had to have been they didn't say it, but
that's a big one. That's a pretty big one.
Shoulda, woulda.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, and it could have avoided this massacre.
Well, and I also feel like the Bon Chin, the witness to this, he didn't come forward because he was scared. And it's that's the thing about Willie Mock, where it wasn't just about the police not being there or not able to get a warrant for these guys, but also, the people who witnessed it, they don't trust the police. And so he didn't come forward because they didn't think they could protect him. And they probably would have been right to think that way. How do I know that this Willie Mock isn't going to get out? And he would have done it, blow up the restaurant, kill my entire family.
He already, right.
So I think that there was a lot of room and space to develop that relationship between law enforcement and the Chinese community in the international district.
Wow. This guy. Oh man.
And I mean, that's so brutal to think this much money is worth killing all these people.
Yeah, well, you get
into what I'm going to do.
Right. But he obviously had a screw loose because of his ability to just murder people in cold blood. But there's also, different levels of desperation. I mean, 30 grand is a lot of money, no matter how you slice it. Right. But for a guy with no prospects, probably, he's looking at the rest of his life. He'll never be able to pay it back. And then you couple that with his, questionable moral sense of taking human life, not even questionable, his lack of it. And boom, that's the answer. Where's the money? It's there. Cool. I'll just kill every witness and I'm back to even,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's about the size of it.
It was pointless. It's not quite as like, yeah, let's go play craps gambling. It's like he goes there and he gets into a big hole. And see, and that's the problem, man. It's like, why do they, like, I'm so grateful that I never got to the point where I took out a loan to gamble. Like when I hit zero, I'm like, I'm done. And I was this 18-year-old fucking loser anyway. So no casino was going to go, let's give this kid a marker. He's not even 21. So it was never an option that I like very wisely turned down. No, it's not what I'm saying. But I know people who are like, oh, I'll take a marker for 10 grand and I'll turn that around and I'll get even. And then they don't. And so in these casinos, they just keep extending credit and they just own you. Right. And so even this little illegal gambling hall in Seattle's Chinatown, they are obviously extending credit to this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, well, and I feel like that scenario, like Tony Ng would have been like your scenario that you were just talking with yourself, where, he got into some trouble, then he tried to get out of it. And I'm not making excuses for him because he participated, but that whole thing of like, hey, I have the $1,000. And then by then Willie Mock was like,
nope.
Sorry, dude.
You're
in this.
Or I'm killing you, or your entire bloodline. I'm killing everybody.
Right.
Like fucking lunatic. Yeah.
And that in that scenario, that Branden, 18-year-old dipshit, it's like that could have, I'm not saying it would have happened. I'm just saying like that is how people get into serious trouble with these really bad actors who are willing to do anything to get what they want.
Wow. Well, that's really interesting, and it opened up a whole new understanding of kind of the cultural landscape up in Seattle, and that I hadn't thought of before. I think of the Space Needle and grunge and whatever, and Starbucks and green spaces, but I never really thought of this. Like, what was the other one with that crazy murderer at the docks?
Billy Gould. Yeah.
Right. That was great. I love that story. Billy fucking Gould. All right. Well, hey, great job. That was like I said, that was a nice cultural trip into a side of Seattle that I didn't know existed, and a really terrible, tragic case that I'm glad was that they got to the bottom of. So the ending was Willie Mock is in jail forever. They stayed his death sentence, and so they said they'll never kill him. He'll never get out of jail, and he doesn't get to have any more trials. Like, he signed away that right.
Yeah, he's in Walla Walla. He's done.
And the other guy did 28 years, and he's out, right? Ng?
Yeah, Tony Ng, he's out.
Okay.
And then Benjamin Ng is in for life too at Walla Walla.
Pointless. Wow. Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope everybody enjoyed the episode. I know I did. Can I ask you what's next, or
yes,
you still hate me? Okay.
No, we're all good, Branden. We're all good, Booga.
I hung out with my brother last night. That's so funny. That's funny.
So next week we're going to dive into the Night Stalker case.
Ooh.
Richard Ramirez.
Yes.
Who terrorized LA and San Francisco in the mid 1980s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Is it? Do you cover everything in one episode? Do you split it up?
At this point, I'm just going to do one episode. I have a request out to get some interview tapes from the sheriff's office, but who knows? Who knows if I'll get them in time? So we'll see. Yeah.
Ooh, looking forward to it. All right. Well, as always, thank you everyone for dropping in with us. We appreciate it. As we always say, please consider supporting the people who support the show. Again, The commercials that you hear aren't just random. They're all products that Carolyn has specifically vetted and uses personally. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Any support to the show, we so appreciate it because it lets us do what we love to do. And, Branden is always so like, you're great. But then he's also a jerk too. But he actually works really, really hard on this show. So give him some love.
Yes, but I love doing it, and it's great, working with the level of content that you give. So that makes it easy. And I'm not just saying that. It's true. So I appreciate your hard work, Carolyn. Thank you, and thank you everybody who's listening. Please keep emailing us suggestions for future shows. We always appreciate that, and any kind of rate and review on Apple Podcasts really, really helps. Believe it or not, it helps a lot. So if you could be so kind as to head over to Apple and give us a rate and a review, that would be awesome.
Awesome. Until next time.
Till next time, we'll catch up with you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
The Murder Chronicles is a Cavalry audio production recorded live in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We're produced by Branden Morgan and myself. Our executive producers are Dana Brunetti and Keegan Rosenberger. Josh Windish edited and mixed this episode. Music by Soundstripe. For Cavalry Audio, I'm Carolyn Osorio, your writer and host. Thanks for listening.